My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the Last Ball Drops WTA edition. As the championship point has been played in Ostrava about 10 minutes ago. Unusually for WTA Weekly, we are hot on getting straight into the reaction here. And before I introduce my co-host and check in with him, seems to be my regular co-host at this rate. I just wanted to say that obviously we've got a lot of players that we want to be talking about today, be it the Katie Boulter winning 10 minutes ago, as we said, Emma Raducanu. We've got Sára Bejlek to talk about from Abu Dhabi. We've got Cîrstea's result beating Raducanu today, plus craziness with Eala as always. So what I would love anyone watching in the live chat to do is just put in which player are you most excited for us to talk about, and that will probably decide where we're going first. And it's now time. I am going to introduce my co-host, Carson. Welcome back. It's literally been only a few days since we reacted to Elena Rybakina winning the Australian Open, and not only have we got WTA events to look back over, but also we're looking to head to a WTA 1000, which I think we mentioned on the last episode is just madness.
No, it just feels like it's tennis season now. Like we're into the craziness of it, and yeah, this is just our life for the next 9 months now, or something like that. Just tournaments after tournaments. So it's going to be a good day. I've had a good day. Hope that you've had a good day, Nick, and hopefully we can all have as good of a day as Cîrstea winning her home tournament in her final season on tour.
What a segue. What a segue, Carson. I am proud. I couldn't have done better. So, all right. So, yeah, well, we'll launch into the result from Cluj. Typically, we would launch into the kind of highest tier of tournament, and that being obviously Abu Dhabi's a 500. But Cluj was probably the bigger story, given not only the I am distracted by the amazing humor of our producer here. Apologies for those who are listening back on the audio podcast and have no idea what is on our screen right now. Yeah, obviously we now have Cîrstea, as you say, champion in her final season at her home tournament in Cluj. Winning was probably the, I guess, highest. I don't know, like the biggest final in terms of names that were in it. Aside from the obvious, she beat Emma Raducanu, the 2021 US Open champion, who will get to her story from this tournament because it is the first time that she's made a tour final since winning that US Open, crazily, in like 4 and a bit years. But also, Cîrstea has quite the CV herself. She has been to a 1000 final. I think she's been to a Grand Slam quarterfinal. I'll have to double check that. But she's definitely reached a 1000 final in her career, or whatever it was at the time when she did it, because she did it pretty young. And yeah, calling time in her career, and she looked pretty motivated this week, Carsten.
She did, as I think you would expect her to be. I don't think that there's much concern about her level of motivation right now. She's especially coming into this tournament. Like, this is your home tournament. How many times do you get to play in front of your home fans while on the tour? It doesn't happen that often. So knowing that this is her final season, she put out a really strong effort this week. Yeah, and had to play some really solid players to do it. Raducanu in the final, but also had Potapova, the defending champion, in, was it the quarterfinals, I believe, and then opened up her tournament with Kamila Rakamova, which certainly not the easiest first round match either. So she was really strong, and I don't think she dropped a set the entire tournament.
No,
and I don't think she even went to a tiebreak. So she was quite clinical throughout this entire tournament.
There we go. We've got the details up. Yes. So 2013 Rogers Cup or Canada is where she, is where her kind of her biggest ranking point yielding result. So that's so obviously that was a big moment. I think she played Serena in that final. Could be wrong. But it's right at the beginning of her career anyway. This is like 13 years ago. So this was like relatively early on. She's been to the quarterfinals of the French Open in 2009 and the US Open in 2023. So it's interesting. Thanks, Gene, for confirming that. I knew when my memory was serving me right. It's interesting that she's had had a lot of promise early on, and then massive dip, and then a lot of success coming very late in her career, which she's now calling time on. Not to anyone's surprise, she's 35. She can play well in spurts. She's going to get herself. She's kind of in the mix for being seeded at Indian Wells now, maybe even for a French Open if she can continue this. But and famously, as the producer's pointing out, lost to Raducanu in her breakout run at Wimbledon before that US Open. I remember that being a really tense end to that match. So kind of a revenge win for Cîrstea there. But yeah, we're kind of talking a lot about Cîrstea being really, really good. And it's like this week, she's obviously turned up. She's not won her home tournament before. She wins it without dropping a set. She's motivated. And it's always interesting seeing a player kind of in what they think is their final season, kind of turning up and producing some of their best stuff. We've seen that with Stan Wawrinka at the moment. We saw that with Danielle Collins when she thought she was going to be calling time in her career a couple of years ago. So yeah, do you think we're still going to see that effect throughout the rest of the season, Carson?
I think it's fair, especially at the start, that the first few months of this will be pretty high level, and then, I mean, who knows? She's made decent runs at a lot of tournaments that will be coming up. I'm just looking back at her results, even just last year, like quarterfinals of Dubai, which, quarterfinals of Yasa, round of 16 at Cincinnati, semifinals in Osaka towards the end of the year. So yeah, she had a really good run and has been playing pretty high level. As you mentioned, she's close to being seeded at some of these tournaments now. So she's been in spurts, been playing good tennis for better part of a year now. And I don't see any reason that she would just drop off now.
Yeah. No, I don't see that either, like barring injury or anything like that. We'll go to Emma Raducanu in a moment. We're very early on because obviously she's not played a final tournament yet. I reckon it'll be US Open or around US Open just after that she'll be hanging up her racket. But now's a good time as any to kind of say, like, how would you say that Cîrstea kind of, how would you summarize Cîrstea's career? Is it one of like, yep, she maximized her potential, or was there still something left to give? I don't think there's any question of like she could be proud of what she's achieved with 4 WTA titles and some of the other things I've mentioned. Just thoughts on Cîrstea's career basically, Carson. I'd rather hear your overview of it and your Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything to be disappointed about necessarily. I think that she's done. I mean, she's done more than most tennis players could dream of. Like, which is, I think, like it's an easy place to start the conversation, but also a really good place to start. That this is a well above average tennis player on the tour, and she's won several titles, and 4 of them now. There are several players ranked above her who don't have 4 titles yet. But just the longevity of her career, and I think you look at there were peaks and valleys, but just being able to play at high levels for a long period of time. I mean, we're talking about 14 years in between her first and last quarterfinal appearance at Grand Slams. Like, that's pretty impressive. So, yeah, I think she doesn't have much to look back on in regret. Not sure that, yeah, maybe not. I don't know the nicest thing to say, but I don't know that anyone like ever had top 5 expectations for her. I'm not sure there's like Grand Slam champion expectations for her at any point.
Maybe in
But she's
Romania.
done maybe early, but yeah, I don't think like anyone's like really thought about her like in that way for a long time. But she's had a really great career, and I don't think that there's much to be disappointed by.
That is true. I mean, I think that 2009 French Open, she would have been 18 or 19 years old when she did it. So teen talent breaking through, we were kind of excited to see that. That's kind of with the same contingent that was breaking through with Caroline Wozniacki, Jelena Wickmeyer at the US Open as well, that all-teen semi-final that we had. But we were also getting people like Radwanska. We were getting people like Kvitova and Azarenka kind of coming through around about that time as well. So she was in the mix with them. So it was a tough generation to break out from. And hey, she's still standing. A lot of those people are kind of still like have faded despite winning Grand Slams. So good to see her there. So you can see like her never quite broke top 20, came close. But yeah, really really strong results overall. Like, again, you're right, pretty great career, above average, something that I think a lot of tennis players would aspire to as the next best thing if of being a kind of an all-time, you know, a slam winner more or less. So well done, Cîrstea. But I think it's interesting that where Cîrstea is at, like being this sort of like teen talent, definitely in Romania. What question is that, producer? Of course, anyone can take a set off me. Like the dog down the road can take a set off me. So let's not use me as the standard. So let's pivot to Emma Raducanu, another teen talent who made a bigger splash as a teenager than Cîrstea did. Back at a final, and I was watching her this tournament going, oh, she's playing really, really well. There's definitely some progress here from where she was at. Like you can see some little steps there, like winning matches that she would have lost even a year ago, like going down a break in that 3rd set against the players whose name I've already forgotten, Olyankova, something like that. I was looking at that draw going, Cîrstea is going to be tough in the final if they get to the final, because Cîrstea is playing really, really well and has a really strong game. It could be at worst pretty even. But yeah, what were your thoughts on Emma Raducanu this tournament, Carson? Let's get to the big name that got a lot of hype this week.
Yeah, she had a pretty good tournament, and yeah, I agree. She's playing better. You can see incremental improvements in her game. I think the final today and maybe a little bit of lackluster performance has as much to do with playing a 3-hour semifinal as like her actual level. I don't think I'm not putting like too much stock into like how she performed today to like nerves or anything. I think it has a lot more to do with just a little bit of fatigue after her semifinal match. This is, yeah, well, maybe hasn't been like explicitly said in chat, but this is her first tournament without her coach. So I do think I remember in the past, like she's usually had a little bit of a jump immediately after having some coaching changes. So the first tournament or two, she can really put it together. And I'm not sure what exactly to attribute this to. Could be a lot of things, but she does have a history of playing well immediately after making a change in her coaching staff. So, and yeah, not exactly her fault, but like not having to play Danilovic or Chinyu Wang at all in this tournament, who were the other top seeded players that she was on pace to meet, like certainly does help her a little bit. But yeah, I think the second set of the semifinal was the first set that she had dropped the entire tournament. So she's playing very clinical up to that point. And then, yeah, just a tough mix of factors that she ran into today in the final.
Yeah. I think there's some interesting observations you've pointed out there. Like, yeah, she always gets that bounce after losing a coach. And I think when you listen to interviews with her, it's very clear that she values freedom. Like she loves being able to be free, play free and do her own thing. You can tell that she was really wanting to be aggressive when she can. I think when she is on the front foot, then she's unstoppable. As you know, she turned around that Kai Yuvan match from 5-love down and only lost one game since. Crushed Klovinska, and then that last set against Olyankova was amazing. Like, I think, you know, she kind of varies between passive and proactive. And when she feels up to being proactive, she's so good. And I think that freedom helps where she's not feeling stifled off the court in some way. Like, we did see that. And I think the other thing I've noticed is, you're right, like there's a variety of factors that meant she lost the final. It was it was a really harsh scoreline, to be honest, from what I saw. Like 6-love, 6-2. There were so many long games in that match on both players' serves. And Raducanu held once and broke once. Those are the two games that she won in the match. Really, that final came down to Cîrstea being more clinical and having the better quality because she had bigger weapons. And when it got into long rallies, Raducanu was the one way more likely to miss. So it was just like there was no way she could turn that match into something that she could win. Like there was no tactic that was working for her. So she was just off today. And something I wanted to put to you, Carson, I'm interested to see what the live chat thinks as well, and the producer is. And I was thinking about this, like the Yuvan was a tough first set. Olyankova was a really tough overall match for multiple reasons. Maybe there wasn't gas in the tank for today. And it got me thinking that when she won the US Open, she didn't have to win a really physical match to do it. She won everything in straight sets. Nobody massively challenged her, even when she was coming with people like Bencic and Sakkari. And I'm just wondering, I think she was able to play free, proactive tennis in those matches. And in this, she wasn't. She was frustrated a bit at points, so maybe she couldn't produce it for whatever reason, probably being due to physical or due to illness. I just wonder whether that's the factor in why she's not had as much success in terms of lifting trophies in these sort of 4 and a bit years, especially when you factor in injuries, and whether that is ultimately, as a lot of people, mainly her fans, have been saying for a while, is that's what's holding her back. That's the ultimate thing that's kind of held her back from more success.
Yeah, I think another factor that happened today was the jump in the quality of opponent through what she faced in her first 4 matches to what she got in the final. It was Greet Minion, Kaya Juvan, Maya Chowalinska, Olinakova in the semifinal. And you go from that, which, I mean, all fine players in their own right, but Maya Chowalinska, she's not going to challenge you like Sára Cîrstea is going to. So I think there is that other factor that just the jump in the quality of level today had as much of a factor with it. And then, there's maybe I think everyone can always improve in their physicality and how they're able to perform in longer 3-set matches and learning how to become more clinical and take advantage of opportunities, which she was good but not great at in the semifinal, I thought. There were moments where she probably had some opportunities to open up the scoreline a little bit and wasn't able to take advantage, but I think she can improve with it. I do think that the more she plays these matches, the more comfortable she's going to get in these situations. I don't know that today was like a huge case of nerves, but also you haven't played a final anywhere in 4.5 years. It's a little bit different. So
That's fair.
I think there's a lot of factors that could go into this.
Yeah. Okay. And do you know what? That jumping quality is a point that I hadn't considered, but you are absolutely right. And we see that with even the top players, right? They'll have a relatively soft draw, rankings-wise, up until the final, and then it will... And then they play an opponent who's just of a different level, and suddenly they've got to work that out. We've seen it before with players of similar quality to Raducanu or even higher. So, I think that is definitely something to consider. And Cîrstea was, as I said, watching her, I thought she would be a very different challenge to what Raducanu faced in this tournament. But hey, look, it's all positive steps. She's back in the top 25. There's definitely stuff to launch off from. It's going to be interesting when she's starting to have to defend these points that she's kind of accumulated throughout the year. But I feel relatively confident that she can do that, because if she does it in some tournaments, she'll pick some up in others. I'm interested to see what happens. But overall, she won a tight match in a 3rd set, worked out how to beat the tough opponent, got back to a final. It's more baby steps back to where Raducanu is expected to be. And that's kind of where I think we're at with her right now. Do you have any more thoughts on Emma Raducanu before we move on, Carson?
Yeah, I'm not sure I have any additional thoughts on that. I feel like I've gotten everything that was on my mind out on this. But I mean, really solid tournament for her. Just getting to a final, she just needs to get in these situations and eventually she'll win another one of them. So good run for her.
Yeah, really good run. So let's see where we're at without her later, and see if she can continue to advance back towards the top 20, which is the next target. So let's go to, before we move on to Ostrava, I do want to address that semi-final a little bit, or is the opponent in Raducanu's semi-final, which is Olga Olenakova. I need to double check the pronunciation. I haven't had time, so please correct me, somebody, because I don't think that was right. I thought that was a very interesting match from her, because she can really thwack the ball. She's got some power, but she was mixing it with moon balls, and I thought tactically she played the match pretty well. I think it was very clear that two things happened towards the end, which was she ran out of gas and Emma Raducanu dialed up her shots and figured it out in the end. Was really managing to hit through her. at points. But she was also finding ways of getting the ball back in court, which I was impressed by. So she's a player who I've seen rising through the rankings, and now I've seen her in person. I'm like, okay, we've got another frustrating player to watch or it's frustrating players for play. Nikova. Okay. No, Nikova. Anyway. So yeah, Nikova is gonna be interesting, I think. I think not quite as frustrating as Laura Siegmund, but I could see her playing certain players and driving them absolutely insane. Sabalenka comes to mind.
Yeah, I think that there's she can play a frustrating style of tennis, but I mean she certainly has the tools. I think to be around the tour for a long time. It's not just moon balls. She's got a pretty good shot selection that she can pull from. So a good tournament from her. Had Meyer Sharif in the first round, I believe, which not an easy opponent at all to have to face. So I think that was a longer 3-setter, and then was it Anna Bondor, Jinyu Wang before she got to Raducanu. So this was far from an easy run for it. She's had a really good start to the year. So as you said, she's been rising up the rankings for a little while now. If you haven't heard of her before, I don't think she's going away for a while. So get used to her and get used to this face paint.
Is it face paint or tattoos? I thought it was tattoos.
I don't know. Might be tattoos.
Yeah, definitely on her arms, but I thought it was her face as well. Anyway, yes, I think she's definitely got the war paint going, regardless of whether it's permanent or temporary. Yeah, I agree. And like her advance through the rankings is kind of a sign of that as well. So yeah, you're right. Get used to seeing her name out there. Olnikova, I think she's early 20s, I believe.
25.
25, yeah. Yeah, I did think 25. 25 was in my head, but I'd Googled a lot of players this week, so I didn't know which one to ascribe that to. Yes, 25. So, bit of a late bloomer, maybe, but certainly one to...
Yeah, wouldn't be the first one. So, would be the first one to come on this late in their career. So,
definitely.
Yeah, 25. Does look like it's henna tattoos. So,
okay,
not permanent, but yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Here we go. All the information you need. All right. So we've done about half an hour on Cluj. I think let's move on. If you're a British tennis fan, it wasn't all on Raducanu. We did, in addition to Davis Cup success, get other success in Ostrava with Katie Boulter winning the title there. She won it 10 minutes before the stream started, so about 40 minutes ago. 4th WTA title, I believe, after winning Nottingham twice and then San Diego a couple of years ago, which is her biggest result in her career. And yeah, lifts the title coming from a set down against Tamara Korpatsch in the final. And I thought this was where it was going because she's been playing super well. Really used her power to stifle Korpatsch once she started fighting back and played her game to its maximum potential, I thought. Lovely inside-out forehand winner on championship point. She's now back in the top 100, which I think is where she belongs. And after a bit of an off year last year, seems to be back on track, maybe with the help of Maria Sharapova's former coach.
Yeah, she's 85th, I think, in the live rankings now. So that yes, even that's still a little bit low, I think, from what she can get to. But was it 123, 124 prior to this tournament? So, I mean, just getting the title here. I mean, fantastic result for her. Getting her season on track here very early on. So she's yeah, I know she's ranked like 85 or whatever. I wouldn't say that there's 84 players in the world that are better than her at the moment. So it's, I think, going to be really interesting to see what she does this year.
Well, the only way is up. There's not many points to defend, and if she's going to keep playing like this, then yeah, absolutely. I think she's going to be doing a lot of interesting things this year. It's good timing for her as well. I think this is just about in time for Indian Wells to get in, if not definitely enough to get into Miami, maybe. And then it depends on sort of if she can maintain this. That should be enough for the French and Wimbledon, which is, you know, important for her as a Brit to kind of get in and not need wild cards. Kind of frees it up for some other up and coming Brits. Yeah, absolutely loved it. I think it's, yeah, I think we've kind of touched on it. It's a great result for her. I did think, again, just watching what were going on Strava and how things were going, that she looked like the likely winner of this tournament. She was clearly playing the best tennis, and these are conditions that would suit her. And yeah, she joins an illustrious lineup of Ostrava winners, Arina Sabalenka and Barbora Krejcikova being two of them, back when it was a 500. And it's the first time we've played Ostrava since that insane Krejcikova-Świątek final that got played in 2022. So yeah, funny enough, I think she's also succeeded Świątek when she won San Diego. So maybe watch out places that Świątek's won before for Katie Boulter. Little weird parallel there, but yeah, I don't think there's much more to say on Katie Boulter, is there, Carson?
This was a very wide open tournament. I think there's only one seeded player that made the quarterfinals even. So it was very wide open front to back. I mean, you have Tamara Korpach, who made the final. She played well throughout this week, and I think a couple other young Czech players had pretty good performances this week. Nikola Bartunkova, who had a nice run in Australia, and then Linda Fruvertova, who Katie Boulter beat. That was quarterfinals, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, just a wide open tournament. A little bit weird, but those are fun sometimes. Just like getting to see some players that usually you maybe wouldn't get to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge opportunity for players to get themselves up the rankings. 250 points is not to be sniffed at, and Katie Boulter took full advantage of that, as other players have before her. Good shout on Bartunkova, showing that third round in Australia wasn't a flash in the pan. There's some consistency behind the 19-year-old's game. She has a very interesting game. It's quite loopy, quite spinny. So I think she's going to be more of a grinder. It's going to be interesting to see how she does in the clay. And I like that you've mentioned Fruvertova, because now I'm going to do my own segue, my own kind of tenuous segue, because Fruvertova is what I would call kind of forgotten next gen, because I remember her winning a WTA title at 17. Her sister as well, Brenda, who was in the tournament and didn't progress very far. She was one of those players that were like, okay, something big could happen, because it wasn't just that title. She also got to the fourth round, last 16 of Indian Wells in her career, pretty young, and then kind of faded, and we haven't heard an awful lot from her since, other than the odd flash. The other forgotten next-gen player, I think, that we make a fuss of is Sára Bejlek, who, after going from being a promising teenager, qualifying for the US Open as a 16-year-old, playing Leylah Fernandez as a 17-year-old. I remember doing that as a live stream for the Australian Open 1 year. I think that was either 2023 or 2024. I'm going to say injuries got in the way there, because she did crack the top 100 and then drop back. And she's now the Abu Dhabi champion and has broken the top 50 with those lovely 500 points that she got from it. So, yeah. It's nice to see she's still 20 years old. She still counts as next gen, but I think other players who've come along since have kind of stolen the hype. Players like Andreeva, Eala, who we'll get to, Valentova, Joint, Mboko, and Jovic. and they've all kind of stormed the thunder a bit. And Bejlek's close like, hold on, I've not gone anywhere. What a week she's had, Carson.
It's been an incredible weekend. I mean, this is not an easy run that she had at all. Ashlyn Kruger, Yelena Ostapenko, Sonia Kartel, Clara Towson, and then Alexandrova in the finals. That's not an easy lineup at all, especially in a 500. That wouldn't be an easy run in a 1,000, to be frank. Like, it's a very high quality of opponent that she played. And, yeah, I mean, coming in through qualifying as well. So it's not like she only had those 5 matches. It's been, 7 matches now in 8 days or something like that. So, yeah, incredible week for her. I think you're right. She's a little bit forgotten, kind of in that next gen. But, I mean, you see that sometimes with players. Like, they come on really strong at the start, and then it takes them I think, like, with some players, we've kind of had conversations, but, like, they'll come on strong right away, and then there's kind of, like, the sophomore slump. And, like, that second year on tour can be a little bit difficult for them as players learn how to adjust to their gameplay and just learn how to stylistically challenge them a lot more. And then it's on that player to figure out how to adjust to the adjustments. And some players are able to do that quickly. For some, it can take a little bit longer. So for Bejlek, maybe it's just taking her a little bit longer. But yeah, next Monday, she's going to be number 38 in the world. And yeah, putting herself in a really good position now to play some much larger tournaments this spring than she was last year.
Yeah, you're right. Those two qualifiers, she's won 7 matches. That's enough to win a Grand Slam. And that's Raducanu, who won 10 matches to win a Grand Slam. Only player to do that. So yeah, you're right. And then yeah, that's a really good run. And I think what I liked about this run as well is she very clearly was the best player throughout the tournament. Like, she beat Kruger, 2-time finalist here. She beat Ostapenko, former Grand Slam champion. She's beaten Kartal, and dismissed Kartal, who not only was also a qualifier, but is also very difficult to dismiss because she's a real grinder, real fighter. She grinds it out against Clara Towson, and to a certain extent it's the same against Alexandrova in the final. And she does it by just this ability to get the ball back and give different paces, different looks at the ball. She's got this crazy topspin lefty forehand, this very sort of shovelly backhand that always lands in, but also can just she can hit winners with it. It can kick out of range of a player. And I think it helped that she played players who were struggling for consistency. We know Alexandrova can go hot and cold. We know Towson can as well. And that's kind of what happened. And she she gritted out those wins with just sheer consistency and occasionally surprising ability to put the ball out of range. I mean, game style wise, I don't know if you agree with me, Carson. Like, she reminds me a little bit of Marketa Vondrousova, although realistically, I actually think her game style is probably relatively similar to Cameron Norrie.
Yeah, I think there are definitely. I mean, she's a Czech tennis player. They all go through the same academy, basically. That there are similarities between all of their game styles, but yeah, the Cam Norrie comparison might not be way off base. There is a skill to just getting the ball back in play consistently for a long period of time. She was able to do that this week and do that at a very high level against some very good players. And she's got weapons as well. You mentioned some of them. Like, it's not all about just waiting for your opponent to get unforced errors. Like, she's definitely able to take control of some points and just bully people around. So, yeah, I think that, the Norrie comparison honestly might not be that far off.
Because it's very different looks at a ball as well. They don't come off the same forehand or backhand. Maybe hers are a bit loopier than Norrie can do. So watch out for her in clay and grass, I guess. Which the Czechs are usually pretty good at anyway. Let's just do a quick assessment Bejlek's potential then, Carson? Where do you see her? Where do you see her at? So obviously the Norrie we know made top 10. He got himself a 1,000 at one point when he was in Indian Wells a few years ago. Grand Slam semi-final. Ability to challenge top players regularly. Do we see the same for Bejlek, or can we aim a bit higher with her?
I think we can get that high with her. I think on the women's tour, I think there are some similarities in between her games. Thinking about it now, between her and someone like Emma Navarro or Dasha Kazatkina, both of whom have been top 10 players. So they all have, I think, like similar shot selections that they'll go for. It's a little bit loopier, as you said, to use that word. So there's, not quite as much about flat power, but they're willing to use some angle and some spin to a greater degree. So there's nothing about her game that makes me think that she can't get top 10. I think I need to see a longer run of consistency before I'm going to like make any crazy predictions that she'll get there within 18 months or whatever. But I mean, this is a great start for her. And I mean, you said like she's a kind of a forgotten member of the next gen. She can re-emerge in that. Like, nothing's really stopping her. Like, that's kind of the great thing about tennis. Like, it's just you and the person across the net.
Yeah. Well, let's see how she's in Dubai, because I don't think she's done enough to get into Doha, which you're going to start a preview of shortly. But I just want to do a quick note on Katerina Alexandrova, who lost in the final, because obviously she's back in the top 10 as a result of rankings shifting around, like Bencic losing some big points this week through not defending her title due to illness. And the reason I want to bring up Alexandrova, who, by the way, is currently playing in the doubles final in a deciding set tiebreak with Maya Joint. So she's hoping to rescue something from this weekend. But this is just something that I wanted to I just like noteworthy to me of she's now played 7 WTA 500 finals. She won one of them, Linz, last year. She's now lost the other 6. Like in the last sort of 2 years. Yeah, she's reached a WTA 500 final at this point in the year of year. Linz the last 2 years, Abu Dhabi this year. So her last 6 finals have been WTA 500s, and she's won one of them. And I do feel a little bit frustrated for her. I mean, I'm very excited about Sarah Bejlek's breakthrough, but there's a part of me that is a little bit frustrated on Alexandrova's behalf that this seems to keep happening to her.
Yeah, that's, I mean, definitely an unfortunate run. I think about, what was it, Tsitsipas's run in 500s? He's like 0 for 100 at one point, it felt like. But yeah, she's got a title, and generally my belief about like any players that if they've shown they can get to the level, to a certain level in a tournament, they can win at that level. So certainly I think she's capable of winning these 500 finals. She's a top 10 player in the world. So yeah, I think that she's certainly capable of doing this, and it will come as long as she does not allow it to develop into some sort of mental block, which I think is like in an individual sport, something you're always a little bit concerned about happening if there's been a poor run at a certain stage of a tournament for so long. So she's, what is she, 30, 31 years old though? I think like I'm less concerned about her allowing that to happen than if it was someone in their younger 20s who was on that sort of run. I think that she's got the sort of experience to compartmentalize these results and not allow any moment to get too big or too small.
Yeah. And let's be fair, she's won 4 other titles. She's won 4 250s. So yeah, she won't compartmentalize. She's a top 10 player. I think it's just the nature of her game. Like, it's so up and down. It's so streaky, even in a match, of like going from unbeatable to just missing by not a lot. And it's tough with the way that she plays. It's so aggressive. I think if we were to, and also let's face it, like, Bejlek's probably the first opponent. This is probably going to be more of a compliment to Bejlek than anything about Alexandrova, because I think Bejlek did frustrate her today. But if you look at the players who've beaten Alexandrova in 500 finals, Annette Kontaveit at the Kremlin Cup in 2021, that was on her way to when she was heading towards number 2 in the world. Linz 2024, she loses in straights to Ostapenko. Not a bad loss. She beat Yastremska last year in a tough final at Linz. And then the last 4, Bejlek, as we said, is the most recent one. Diana Schneider in Monterrey in 3. Iga Swiatek in that amazing Seoul final in 3. And Elena Rybakina in 3 at Ningbo. So, and given the way that kind of we had that first set tiebreak and that could have gone either way, it's not like she's going down without a fight. So, yeah, there's reasons to be positive in that, like, it will come and we'll get another title for Ekaterina Alexandrova at some point.
Yeah, I mean, none of those are bad losses by any stretch of the imagination. So, still a good week for her. And yeah, heading through the rest of the Middle East swing now, like, she's still going to be top 10 seed at all of these tournaments. So certainly favored to win a couple of matches in all of these places, maybe get another deep run into a tournament. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
We will indeed see what happens. All right, I think we've wrapped up our review. We know what we were here for. Doha 1000 is starting tomorrow. Qualifying is done. They have been placed. We have a fun draw ahead, Carson, albeit with some high-profile withdrawals. Sabalenka's not playing. Pegula's not playing. Keys is not playing. Just to name probably the biggest 3 names that aren't going to be there. So it's a slightly diminished 1000 field. No surprise given how soon it is after a Grand Slam. I'm impressed that Raducanu is going to be playing as the 2nd seed. Iga Swiatek is the top seed. But yeah, I guess my thing is, even without those players, this is still a very good draw.
Yeah, this is a pretty... Yeah, I'm just looking through the draw right now. There's some pretty solid first-round matchups. I mean, Linda Noskova and Maya Joint is a first-round match here. Teresa Valentova and Alex Eala is a first-round match here. That's pretty good. Emma Raducanu plays Camila Osorio in the first round. That should be fun. What else? I mean, we've got Victoria Imboka plays Marie Buskova in the first round. Diane Schneider plays Alicia Parks. Zheng Qinwen plays Sophia Kenin in the first round.
That's a big win for either of them. Whoever wins it. That's big for either player. Because Kenin needs to get this year going, and Zheng needs to get this comeback going from injury.
Yes. Both of them could use a little bit of a jump start here. And I mean, whoever wins that plays either Diane Schneider or Alicia Parks in the second round. And then if you win that, you're probably playing Elena Rybakina. And then if you win that, you're probably playing Mira Andreeva. And if you win that, you're probably playing Coco Gauff. Like, this bottom half of the draw is just absolutely stacked.
It is pretty stacked, you're right. I'm just trying to find that Zheng Kenin match because I do have it marked. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that one has a lot of potential as an Olympic champion versus a former Grand Slam champion. In there. Yeah, that's a big win. Like, yeah, there's just a lot of potentially great results and interesting matchups as well as the tournament kind of progresses. I think the one I'm actually most interested in is actually the next gen clash between Alex Eala and Teresa Valentova. Because we know Eala is on her way up. Valentova is a big flat hitter and is really rocketing her way up the rankings. Is 18. Really interesting lineup, I think, there to see how those two games match against each other against on what is quite a slow, gritty, hard court. And also potentially a lot of Filipino support, given there's quite a lot of Filipinos who live and work around the area. We saw that in Abu Dhabi, where they brought a fantastic atmosphere to Eala's matches. That insane comeback win Eala had against, who was it? It was, I watched the match as well. Why has it gone out of my head? Sastovic, who was a gritty player.
Yeah.
And then just sort of tough for her to then have to deal with Alexandrova straight after. But I think we'll probably see sort of similar sort of atmosphere. So I'm interested to see not only the kind of the matchup of how Eala deals with Valentova's game and whether Valentova can take advantage of Eala's serve versus this insane atmosphere in this slightly slower court, which, to be fair, Eala prefers a faster court because she can counterpunch a bit easier. Hard to know which way this one's going to go, Carson, but what do you think? And just thoughts on, whether you think we'll also... your thoughts on the match and also whether you think we'll see the same sort of atmosphere for these matches for Eala's.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see the same sort of atmosphere in support of her. Should be a really fun match, I think. You could look at it's a little bit slower court, which I'm not sure that's either one of their preferences. So you mentioned like Eala does like a little bit more speed on courts. I think Valentova does as well. She seems to be playing fairly well on these faster hard courts. It's gonna
is a junior French Open champion. I thought held pretty well against Coco Gauff for a bit at Roland Garros this year, so doesn't mind it. I'd say likes the clay.
Yeah, doesn't mind it at all. And I mean, we've already talked about Czech players, and they're all around all surface dominance on everything. So, this is like the third or fourth young Czech player that we've talked about so far. So just an insane amount of talent that they've gone through. But this match is going to be a lot of fun, I think. I'm interested to see if Valentova... I think Valentova's path to victory in this match will be keeping points a little bit shorter, making both of them rely on their serve a little bit more, because I think that's definitely an advantage to Valentova right now. I think she has the better serve of the two, and I think she might have the better return of the two. Obviously, you're not returning at the exact same time, but I think Valentova's return versus Eala's serve is definitely an advantage. And for Eala, she's a solid returner as well, but Valentova, she's got good flat serve that she can put to corners on the court, and then she's got a nice little kick on the second serve as well. So I think that points. If Valentova is able to keep points contracted a little bit, I think that's an advantage to her. But if it does getting to a point where it's like baseline rallies a lot, that's an advantage for Eala, because I think she has the stronger baseline game of the two right now.
Yeah. Also point out Valentova did have 2 3-setters in qualifying, so she's had a tough run through, which means she's battle hardened, which is going to be good against Eala for her, because Eala's also pretty battle hardened and not going to back down from a fight. We've seen that time and time again over the last sort of year or so in Miami, in Eastbourne, and in Abu Dhabi. I think that there's a lot of elements where you're right with the sort of the way the games match up, but I think there's a lot of elements where Eala can turn the match in her favour by getting into baseline rally, by gritting it out, by using the court conditions, by using the crowd, to put a lot of physical and mental pressure on Valentova. And with that in mind, I do think that means that Alex Eala, I'm leaning towards her winning this match, but we'll see how that all plays out. If you're saying you lean towards Valentova, wouldn't argue with you, to be honest. And that's why I'm picking it, because it's just, there's a lot of variables in there. It's like a lot of other matches in this draw, as you say, like there's a lot of really solid quality matches that could go either way in this first round. And then as the draw kind of progresses, that's when the top players come into the mix. That's where you're going to start seeing your Świątek, Anisimova, Raducanu, Goff come into play, and see what they can do. So, and how they can impact it. I guess in your mind, Carson, how would you say, how unlikely would you say it is that we're going to get a top 4 seed lockout this tournament of a Świątek, Anisimova, Goff, Raducanu semi-final lineup, which would be excellent, by the way, especially since we haven't had a Goff, Raducanu match for quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a little while since the two of them have played. Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough, especially Raducanu has a pretty difficult draw in front of her. And I do think with anyone, in anyone's first tournament coming off of winning a Grand Slam title, it's fair to question if they've like mentally and psychologically evened out from that yet, or if they're still like riding that high a little bit. Because I mean, if she's honestly her first round match between either Arango or Jinyu Wang, she can probably get through that. But where the third round starts, that could really begin a point where she's playing some other players who can hit the ball really hard right back at her. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. Out of the 4, I think she's the one where I would have the most questions about. I feel like even now I have very few questions about Iga in the Middle East. Like, she's got an incredible history here, and regardless of what happened last year, I think I trust her here more than I trust anyone else. Anisimova could have, her draw could definitely be a little bit interesting as well. It could be like Pliskova in the second round, and then someone of that Valentova Eala match we just talked about, or Muhova's right there. And then you got Navarro, Yastremska, Kalinskaya, Svitolina in that section as well. So it wouldn't be an easy run for her at all. Coco Gauff, I do think she's going to get to the semifinals here. I think if out of the top 4, if I had to like rank them in who I had the most confidence in getting to the semifinal, I think I would say Iga, and then Gauff, and then Raducanu, and then Anisimova.
Okay. Does the fact that Goff traditionally struggled at these tournaments play a factor? Because I think, if I remember rightly, she's never done well at Doha. I think she's been to the semi-finals of Dubai once, a couple of years ago. And that's the thing that's kind of making you go, Like, that sort of thing should end. Like, there's no reason why she shouldn't do well, but it just seems to be this point in the year where she doesn't really excel for one reason or another.
Yeah. It does seem like, I mean, you could include Australian swing as well. Like, she does start a little bit slowly, but I mean, you have to think eventually that's going to end. Like, there's no one here in this tournament that she can't beat. So, like, eventually she's going to win one of these 1000s in the Middle East, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's maybe not the most intimidating section of the draw. Like, it seems like a lot of players that either she's got experience against or their games match up well. Yeah, and I think the quarterfinal match could be interesting because, that top half you have of that like small section, you've got Alexandrova, Ostapenko, Raducanu, Tausen, who, I mean, on their day, they can go lights out and beat anybody, but I think just on any random day, you have to take like Goff's consistency over one of them just getting super hot for 2 hours.
That's fair. I would usually take that as well in most other scenarios. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think there's something to be said for like, those players aren't normally the ones who do catch fire for that. But hey, it's not unheard of. That happens to the WTA tour almost every week. Someone usually does. I agree with you on Raducanu as well. She doesn't. I've not really seen her do well in consistent tournaments, apart from the Sunshine Double in 2023, like consecutive tournaments, not consistent, consecutive tournaments. Sunshine Double in 2023 when she won Indian Wells and got to the final in Miami and lost to Kvitova, which was a little bit of a surprise. Maybe not really because of how good Kvitova is, but that was like her last great, push in her career, like her last great result. Raducanu, so there is that, like how she's going to carry that over from winning a Grand Slam with that tough draw. So I'm with you on that. So yeah, I guess you're right. So you're kind of talking, most likely to win, to get to the semi-finals in that order, which is you put Iga, Coco, Raducanu, Anna Samova. So I guess we'll just do a kind of as we're coming to the hour mark, which is over that. Who are you backing? Who do you see as being the likely winner of Doha?
If I had to pick someone, I think I would lean Iga. Like she's just played so well here for so many years. Like even if she is having a small dip right now, I think it's easy to back her. And she's there. I think there's a pretty clear path there for her to win the final. Who do you think that you would pick right now?
Same as you. I think
All right.
Iga, for similar reasons. Like Iga's won Doha 3 years in a row, 22, 23, 24. Loves these conditions, loves the slow court. It suits her game down to a T. And even last year, only her greatest rival, Yelena Ostapenko, took her out. It would take a similar performance from someone she equally dislikes playing. And Sabalenka's not on the event. If it's Raducanu, she's beaten Raducanu here before. She's probably the one we can reliably say will turn up. Is she indestructible? No. She could play Anna Samova free hitting and lose or something like that. But right now, I think that it's more likely that Iga will show up, perform, enjoy the conditions, and win. I think she's on the up again. I don't think this dip is going to last. And I think it's going to be interesting to see round 2 of these tournaments with Wim Fissette in the corner. And what that looks like, because that might tell us a little bit also about what clay season might be like for her. But yeah, for me, right now, it's hard to look past Iga Świątek due to her history at this tournament, which would also be really big for her getting to getting some extra points to kind of increase the buffer to Raducanu and closing a bit on Sabalenka. So there's opportunity here for her. I think she's going a little bit under the radar. I don't know, she's not being as talked about as much. And usually the less you talk about Iga, the more of a threat she is. So yeah, right now, I think Iga Świątek, like you, I agree with you, is the most likely winner in Doha to win it for a 4th time in 5 years, which is an insane stat, by the way. Like, very few, you get that very rarely at 1000s or Masters or whatever, just someone locking in that tournament. Only Rafa Nadal, you've really seen that in the men's side, not really in the women's.
Yeah, there should be, I don't know, this feels like it's going to be a really fun tournament, even without a handful of the top 15 players around here. Like, you mentioned Sabalenka, Pegula, Keys. I think Badosa withdrew as well. I saw so. So, yeah, this should be a really fun tournament, though. I'm excited to watch it over the next, is it 8 days, I think? 7 days?
Yeah, so it starts
starting on Sunday.
finals on Saturday.
Okay.
So I guess, you know, if you're flying solo, then shouldn't be a problem scheduling it. If you're not, then I hope your partner likes tennis as well. I think that's all we'll say on that. Okay, well, this is, I think this is probably a good point to leave it. Carson, thank you so much as always for coming on and being my wingman today.
Absolutely. Been a lot of fun. Lots of good tennis happening this week. And yeah, sure we'll be talking about more WTA in the future.
I reckon we will. We always rely on you for good WTA takes. And you hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show. If you have, please leave us a review if you're listening to the audio version on Spotify or Apple. Please give us a like, maybe even hype us up on YouTube if you're watching this back. Subscribe if you're new. We are not far off being able to fill Arthur Ashe Stadium with our subscriber count, which is insane to think. Yeah, for more content like this, not just on the WTA, but also on the ATP too. So we can catch, hopefully we'll be doing some kind of review for Davis Cup and Montpellier at some point as well. So keep an eye on the channel. Also, we'll be doing live watch-alongs for Doha, usually involving Alex Eala, I would imagine. And yeah, I will leave you there. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you soon. In the meantime, take care and keep talking tennis.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.